Kings who couldn't do everything they wanted with what they had and decided to have taxes. But tax things that wouldn't go bad or weren't just services on call, but were something that they could store and extract fairly.
Yeah, spot on, dude. Like markets follow taxes, not the other way around, right? And so you need to create a market so you can pay your tax. You don't need to create a market to survive, to do trade, to do all this kind of stuff. Merchants traded all around the world for a long time without any sort of convertible currency between them. And the amount of currency and specie or whatever they needed to settle in was directly proportional to the amount of trust they had in their trading partner. But at the core of it all, markets exist for the sole reason to provide people with a means to pay their tax. And so all the development markets and the idea of free markets and all that kind of stuff are all largely fictions as far as I'm concerned, because at the core of that is we need to take things from you and you need to go figure out a way to get something for us to take, period. So how you do that is up to you, but everything you trade has to be in our money. Everything you do has to be in our money, and the tax you owe us is in our money. If you don't pay the tax, we're going to come kill you. So better figure it out. It's important. And people go, oh, okay, well, I make shoes for Tom. I better make shoes for a lot of people. And then I can charge people more than it cost me to make the shoes. So I can have enough money left over to pay the other guy who's making the leather that I use for the shoes. And you've created this big economy thing, all with the end goal of being able to pay your tax to the sovereign. It's my 2 cents.
Yeah.
So Mike,
when Robin was asking about the
I want you to pay me in. I want you to pay me in cash, so I don't have to report it. I accumulate my wealth.
All right.
Hopefully make my life a little easier and more comfortable.
You're already paying the tax. They're taking 2% bare minimum, no matter what you do, and more likely they're taking 10%.
Yeah,
take Bitcoin.
Yeah, you can pay me in Bitcoin.
Yeah,
that's my way of opting out.
Yeah, one less understood aspect of your book and the Great Realignment book that Robin was asking about me earlier, and I did my best to summarize kind of like what you said later about the inoculation to a body with cancer in it, and the muscles are still working, but organs are failing, and Bitcoin fixes that system, an immune system to the poisoned blood we're pumping. But another point made in the book is like people presume that, yeah, money and fiat currency evolved to facilitate what was just barter. And how do you do that? But fiat largely promoted a mechanism for taxation and a means to extract.
100%, I think. I mean, I'll argue anybody on that point. And I think I have the better side of the argument ultimately, but it's a difficult thing to prove out, because the thing is that the idea that first came barter, then came money, then came credit and debt, and then came taxes is sort of largely attributable to Adam Smith in The Wealth of Nations. He just sort of thought this is the way things work, and then he put it out there and everyone went, yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah, okay. And then that's the myth that's been spread around the world ever since. And to this day, you can hear any number of highly intelligent people that are very thoughtful people that'll come along and go, yeah, well, money is there to fix the problems of barter. And I go, no, it's not, dude. It's never been a problem. And there's archaeological evidence that's very much to the contrary, that says there has never been a society ever in the history of the world since agriculture where they started with barter and then they converted to currency. That just doesn't happen. So there are a lot of countries that start with a financial system that collapses and then they resort to barter. But there is no record anywhere of a society going, hey, we're bartering and it's just not working because I've got 2 donkeys and he's got a cart. I don't know how to divide my donkeys into his cart. So we need to come up with some shells or something to trade.
So let me throw a couple of examples to you that you may be aware of that you have an answer to in terms of, the glass beads in Africa, that they were using glass beads as a medium of exchange and a currency. The wampum shells on the East Coast when, settlers were arriving and the natives had their wampum beads. That like, I think that's an example that Lynn Alden used in her book Broken Money.
Mhm.
Would you say
Incorrectly.
those? So
She very much
so yes,
incorrectly uses
that,
those
and that's so
examples in
that's
her
one of
book.
your points. So did the wampum beads, did the wampum shells evolve in terms of a medium of exchange need and use, or was there an accumulation or an extraction of wampum amongst the natives or native chiefs?
Never once did they use it as a medium of exchange or as a resource to capture. Never. It was always a cultural artifact. So where Lynn Alden goes wrong on that idea is that, and it's specifically to her stock to flow thesis. She goes, well, the stock to flow characteristics of gold are superior to wampum. That's why wampum got replaced as a medium of exchange, because it was too easy to make wampum. And that's why that didn't survive as a currency. And I go, it was never used as a currency to begin with. The only people that used wampum as currency were the settlers that came from Europe. And they only used it because they couldn't get gold or silver because the Portuguese were taking all of it. So there were no banks in Europe that were going, hey, you need to settle your account in wampum. That just didn't happen. There was not like, oh, I know, we're going to do all our trade in wampum now because they found some in the New World. Didn't happen. The natives never looked at it that way. And it's very well documented that the natives were all like, what are you talking about? That's not what this is for. That the European Christian settlers came and gave it that attribute because they mistook a cultural artifact for a unit of account is on the settlers, not on the natives. So the idea that somehow gold replaced it because it was a more efficient, better stock to flow characteristics is sort of an absurdity. And same thing with the glass beads, same thing with the rice stones of Yap and all this kind of stuff. There were no accounts in England being settled in rice stones of Yap. There were no accounts in England being settled on glass beads from Africa. Those were local misuses of cultural artifacts and trying to fit cultural artifacts into a European Christian resource capture mindset. So that's my take on that. Like like I said, it is very, very, very well documented that the natives regarded that whole trade idea as absurd. They go, what are you talking about? None of this stuff makes sense. What you guys are saying is crazy. But even the people that documented it said, hey, by the time they got to the New World, they had abandoned the idea of using ledgers. And it had been replaced with the idea that currency is the way to do all trade. And they had forgotten about the use of ledgers by that point. It had become so inculcated into the population writ large that they stopped using ledgers. And I go, that tells you everything you need to know about the source of currency and why people are using currency the way they use it today. It's not because of some sort of magical characteristic. It's because of it was a more efficient way to resource extract for the sovereign, 100%. And I'll leave it at that, I guess, before I ramble. I always ramble.
Well, that is interesting. I mean, you imagine, the settlers land on Manhattan Island and they're like, I mean, they want the land and they're there anyway. And they want, they want some kind of a trade deal to have happened. So they didn't feel completely like they just stole it, but they make a deal. But so what do the natives have other than having just given up their land? It's like the natives want tools and implements, pots and pans, and whatnot else. And certainly the settlers were motivated to figure out, as we trade here, what is valuable to you that you have in a supply that we can kind of monetize, itemize, and track. And it was going to be something. And so it kind of became the shell or the bead or
and then the natives wasn't even with the natives. I mean, the natives, like they would give the natives cultural artifacts that they could mass produce. And they go, hey, this is sweet. I really need these because next week I'm trying to get this girl to come over and sit on my ding dong. And if I have a really sweet looking wampum piece, I can give that to her and her brother, and maybe she'll let me, have her sit on my ding dong. So
that breaks it down pretty basically.
Yeah. Well, it was used to it's kind of like you guys use challenge coins, right? Like you guys both know what challenge coins are. So imagine if someone came along, some outsider came along and go, oh, all these law enforcement guys, their money is challenge coins. Oh, so we just need to make a bunch of challenge coins. And if there are some really super sweet challenge coins that come from the FBI or something like that, like the Quantico challenge coin or the what are Border Patrol challenge coin or whatever. You go, oh man, that's a pretty cool. And I wish I had one of those because I could trade that with Tom and he'd have to buy me beer for a year to get that. Well, this is sweet, right? And then they go, oh, these guys use challenge coins for money. You go, well, I mean, yeah, but no, like that's not what we're using these for. It's a completely different thing. Oh, no, it's money. And so the dollar came and replaced challenge coins because it had a better stock to flow characteristic than challenge coins did. You'd be like, no, you just don't get what challenge coins were about. It was about the relationship between us as members of this group that went, hey, I have this, I have that. We trade these things. It's kind of like a nod of respect. It's kind of like a cultural exchange. It's kind of like a training, like token or badge. It's all these things wrapped into it. There's all these cultural aspects to the challenge coin, have nothing to do with currency, but someone could very easily come in from the outside, know nothing about you. And it's especially going to be prevalent if they go, look, here's all these law enforcement guys. These guys are all backwards, savage retards. And they're obviously using this really stupid, cheap thing to trade with. Hey, we can just take advantage of these backwards, savage retards by printing up a bunch of challenge coins. And we're going to get all this cool stuff from them. And once you all, as law enforcement officers, figure out like, oh, well, the challenge coin from the FBI this guy gave me is not quite the same thing as when the FBI guy gives it to me. This is just some mass-produced thing he made in China. That's not as cool. I want the actual thing from the actual guy that's the actual like SRT operator, HRT operator, whatever the hell they call their special teams over in FBI land. I want that coin, not this mass-produced cheap piece of shit thing, but I can't tell the difference anymore. So these things are kind of useless to all of us now. And then if you are the guy who looked at this group of people and said, hey, these are a bunch of backwards ass savages, these stupid retard law enforcement people, we're the superior left-wing, conquerors from the land of unicorns and farts or whatever it is. And then they predicate an entire economy on your challenge coins, and then the challenge coins just go to zero. Then they go, well, this money failed. It's like, no, it was never money to begin with. You guys fucked up. You guys made the mistake of thinking it was money. And now the real money has come in, which was always gold or silver or Bitcoin or whatever it is. So I don't know if that's a perfect analogy, but I think it's pretty close to what wampum is all about in terms of putting it into a real world example.
I haven't read your book, but I see what you're saying. For the record, I have a couple FBI challenge coins. I will actually trade them.
Awesome, dude! Really?
For some of your Bitcoin, if you're willing. I'll do that trade. All right, we can talk later.
I don't know if the stock to flow characteristics of your challenge coin meet up with my Bitcoin, dude. I think I have superior stock to flow characteristics on my orange coin.
Yeah, the government runs out of money and just starts printing FBI challenge coins and starts handing them out. And it works for a while until everyone's got one. And it's like, this doesn't work.
Yeah.
But
well,
good analogy.
I do see what you're saying about this perceived problem with barter. I mean, I've always thought of it as just, anytime I'm trading or buying or selling or whatever, I want something of value, right? And it's obvious to me that like that changes. So like if I'm really, really hungry or starving, I might value food more. If I have shelter, then I'm not going to value like more shelter probably. If I have cars, if I have like these things that I need to be productive in my life, I don't need those. I don't need more shoes. I already have like 3 or 4 pairs. But it's obvious to me that will change over time. And like I value Bitcoin and I want it. I value dollars right now because I can buy more Bitcoin or stuff with it.
Yeah.
So I see why money and currency is valuable. I see it as like that's probably more valuable to more people consistently. But there is going to be a point where I'm actually like excited about this, where people will offer me dollars for something. I'll be like, get that. This is a monopoly money. I don't want this. Get this garbage out of my face.
I have plenty of paper. I got a whole stack of paper right there. I don't need any more paper. Yeah, I got some sats.
Exactly. And that it'll be so fun to see that day. I wish I was like better off so I can already bring that about.
Oh yeah. I can't wait, dude. I think it's going to be great.
Well, when you see the taco truck that says, they got a little sign up front that says cash preferred, which you might imagine why. And, someday it's going to be like, I mean, yeah, we'll do cash, but Bitcoin preferred. So,
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think those days are coming soon, right? Like, especially as more and more of the normies get into it, they're just gonna be like, we kind of prefer sats.
yeah.
Like, I appreciate that, but do you have Lightning? Because we don't really like taking cards at all. And we'll take some of that dirty fiat as long as it's a CBDC. We don't take that paper shit anymore. But our preferred method is Bitcoin, and don't use that. Use this link over here because that's the one we can control better. So, yeah, anytime you're ready. Yeah, that'll be 350 sats.
Zap.
Zap. Yeah. I think it's inevitable, provided the network stays decentralized and secure.
Yes.
Yeah. Have you been listening to Jeff Booth or something lately?
No, I always parrot that line
Every day.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I agree.
Yeah.
That is important.
It's a very important caveat. Did you see
otherwise
Adam Back today?
I
Oh,
haven't,
sorry.
but if you don't have that, then you're not really talking about Bitcoin anymore.
Right, correct. You're just talking about Bankcoin, and
Yeah.
who cares then?
What happened with
Well, he finally came
with
out
him?
and just said some like sensical stuff, and I was just like, oh, thank God! Finally, there's a sound voice in this space that's actually just addressing the issue and dealing with it. I thought it was great. I'm a big fan of Adam Back. I've met him in person.
About what issue?
About
The filter debate?
yeah. I mean, it was refreshing finally to see someone just kind of cut through the nonsense and just like, look, this is what it is. This is what you guys are talking about. This is where you guys are being a little bit misled, I think, maybe. And ultimately, it's just going to be a thing that blows over. But I think if you spend enough time around it, you're going to find out that you probably weren't thinking very clearly when you jumped on whatever bandwagon you're on. So, and I think he's going to be right. I mean, the guy's been around Bitcoin since before all of us by a mile. And if there's anybody that understands this protocol on a deep level, I think he's one of those guys. And, and people go, oh, he's a shitcoiner now. He's a this, he's a that. I go, well, you just lost the plot, dude. Like, if you're saying that guy is somehow compromised, corrupt, and this, that, and the other thing, I go, I don't have time to listen to your fucking arguments anymore. Never mind, your arguments don't make technical sense. So just whatever. But I mean, I think Bitcoin is more resilient than whatever it is. The thing I've sort of realized just this morning is like, the narrative that they're parroting, Bitcoin is only for money. It's a monetary network. I go, yeah, you're absolutely right. I agree with that 100%. I feel very passionately about that idea. And it ceased being that exclusively in 2017 when they rolled out SegWit. So what you're talking about now is conflating something with what happened with SegWit like 8 years ago. So if you go, we need to preserve Bitcoin's monetary purpose. Okay, roll back SegWit because that's where it went fucking sideways.
Thank you for watching this video. This is just a short clip from our full episode. So if you'd like to enjoy more entertaining wisdom found in our podcasts in their full context, just click a link in the corner. We are always sharing our big ideas on Bitcoin Liberty Live.